What is it about riding a bike that is so liberating? What unites us all is the craving for that special feeling. This is what inspired the developers at Garneau to create the innovative, award-winning X-Comfort technology, optimizing comfort to maximize performance and, most of all, the good feelings that make us so passionate about riding. The brand new X-Comfort Zone incorporates an elasticized zone that expands up to 5 millimeters to accommodate V through D+ foot widths. We all pedal in the same way. As you push down, your toes naturally splay. And the dynamic changes that happen inside your shoe as your feet contract and expand under pressure as you ride. The pressure and friction created as the outside of your foot expands over and over against your shoe can create serious and painful hot spots and irritations. The longer you ride, the worse it can become. This makes for a level of never-before-experienced comfort in the highest-performing cycling footwear. Every cyclist rides for that special feeling that cycling brings to us. Each one of us has our own version of what it means to enjoy the ride. We just help make it possible.
Go down the road.
Go down.
All right. Don't throw your arms in the air. Don't do anything crazy. No random shit. Okay.
I had my own strategy. I was actually working for you guys. So what I did at the last moment, I just pulled back. So you guys need to buy me some beers.
Esports. We love to play. Since the 1980s, video games and competitive gameplay have been part of our Western culture. The video arcade, the Atari, Nintendo, PlayStation, even PC gaming are all part of this rich cultural lineage of play. We play ourselves, we watch, we even compete. What makes an esport? Well, any individual or team game that can be played on a level playing field in competition, whether that's live or online.
Still alive! Charm's gonna land onto him! Is he gonna be able to walk away? Baker is still running, still damaging him, and another turn, and expansion goes down!
While there are half a dozen top-tier esports, more than 100 different titles are being played competitively around the world. Esports break all boundaries. They're played by men and women across cultures and can be played on consoles, PCs, and even mobile devices. Esports are truly a world sport. Over the last decade, we've seen interest, broadcasting, and live events eclipse those of their traditional sport counterparts. Esports are a massive draw. We love to watch them live, and we love to watch them stream. For people under 30, video games are the most popular media industry in the world, more popular than television, music, or movies. But competitive video game play is not just something we do, it's something we watch. In 2016, more people watched the League of Legends Championships than the World Series, the NBA Championships, or the Stanley Cup playoffs. That makes the top 3 sporting events in the World Cup, the Super Bowl, and a video game competition. Esports are the sport of the rising generation. Talented players, broadcasters, and managers are filling every level from professional, now to collegiate, high school, and even Pee-wee. To many, esports is the biggest world they've never heard of. But to millennials, it's the future of competition, of broadcasting, and of sport. But not the distant future, the future of today. This is esports. Cyclogen's Virtual Rankings is a ranking system for Zwift racers, built to make racing more fun for all levels of ability. The rankings are based on historical data, as well as new race results, which are uploaded immediately. Racers are divided into divisions, and points are distributed based on the strength of the field in the race. Terms are separated into months, quarters, years, and lifetime. And at the end of each term, racers are able to be promoted to a new division. High-scoring elite racers are also automatically under consideration to participate in a CVR World Cup event.
We're on a journey and we're going by bike. Bicycles set people free. It starts as kids when bikes set us free to explore the edges of our neighborhood. It continues into adulthood when weekend rides set our minds free from work and worry. It's the reason why still today bikes are at the heart of everything we do. Through our products, we propel bike lovers forward, be it in pursuit of personal enjoyment or peak performance. Through our business approach, we strengthen our community in Madison, Wisconsin, where we design and build the vast majority of our American-made products. Through our advocacy, we promote healthier, happier, bike-smart communities, both locally and nationally. We set out on this journey the day Sarah and Chris combined names to form Saris. So grab a bike and join us.
Well, hello there. It is so good to see you again. We were just together, it seems like just a couple hours ago, because we were. That was right. The Zone F was the race that we just saw. A miraculous, exciting finish by the man Kai Barrett himself. But we've got a whole new group of heroes here lining up in the virtual world of London. London's a real world, but this is the virtual version, and we're going to race today the triple loop. Tell you all about that in just a second. Just about 6 minutes to go. But you're going to want to know who's who and what is happening here. So let me get to that. That is London. We are doing, actually not the London 8 this time, but the London, how do we call it? It's the London Triple Loop. I'll tell you about that in just a moment. But that London Triple Loop is a very powerful confluation of many different things, including one time up, in essence, Leith Hill here in Zone G. Here are a couple of riders that you got to pay close attention to. Eric Sorensen, one of those fabulous riders ready to show you why he is so dang strong. He's been up against Scotty Weiss in previous weeks. And of course, Allison Kubota. She was one of the LA champions. She was one of those that fought for the championship there. And one of the odds-on favorite to win this race today. So as we look around in this men's field, you see Scotty Weiss. How do you say it? We'll find out maybe later today. Of course, Shane Gaffney, well known here. But then there's some other names that you know, right? Lavelle, McCabe, Guzman, Woods, Comio, Tyndall. Of course, that is Eric Sorensen right there. Normally, he wears that big E next to his name, but it looks like he's slid into uniform today. And Eric, we'll call you Big E. Sorensen, racing for Team Draft, of course. Corliss from Team HPP. We've got a few others in there. There's Shane Gaffney. Have a great race all. He's such a polite person until he attacks, and then it goes crazy. Okay, I know in the the collection there. We have a video that will be fabulous for us to look at here in just a moment. Shows this course, this triple loop, which I'll tell you a little bit more about now, is one of these really, really fun courses. I reached out to John Mayfield of Zwift to ask him just a little bit about where this thing came from, right? And part of his response, says that, well, there's a lot of folks, right? Team at Zwift HQ should really be credited for creating this triple loop, but he gives his nod maybe to Luke. A good name to use, he said, is he does the work actually recording the route and often helps decide exactly what they're going to be. Well, we raced Box Hill last week. This is the different course with this week. We'll kick it around here with only, just 30 seconds left to go in this main field. Wow, that 6 minutes went by fast. But here we go. The gate is about to drop and things are about to get crazy. And when they do, you can expect Scotty Weiss to be up there in the front. Okay, the gate will drop and we will go hard. But this is a really flat course. It's flat at the very beginning, and it's going to run out for quite a ways. I mean, yes, they'll be running around through town. There'll be a couple of little inconsequential jumps there, but nothing that's really going to separate the group, except for this start where things can get crazy. You're going from 0 to 45 to 48 kilometers per hour. It's going to get crazy quick. Okay, now as we're working through trying to make sense of all of this, hello to everybody who's watching us. Thank you for watching us on Mixer, on Facebook, of course, on the CycleView app on CVRWorldCup.com, where you can pick the riders you want to watch. That's right. If you want to keep your camera glued on Allison Kubota and see what it looks like in her pain cave riding her real bike, you can do it. All right, Guzman off the front here, trying to make sure he gets in that big front. You see all of those power-ups dropping over their heads. They got to get those off. Now, Guzman with a power outage. There's Scotty Weiss. He is there in his pain cave couch in the background so people can watch that perfect view of him working hard on that. He is glancing over to the right side as he sees it the left side for us because he sees the screen the way we do. He's got it over on that side. He can see it. And he's looking for what those gaps are. Guzman there, a big jump in the front. That was an interesting one. Whereas we look at it just kind of in the past here. There goes Guzman with the trip backwards. Scotty comes to the front here, gets out of the saddle. He's on rollers. That's why his bike moves around so darn much. And he gets swamped there at the end. Just wants to make sure he's up there, that he gets the right warm-up going here. Corliss as well. Gaffney also in that group. And, of course, Big E, Eric Sorensen. He's a tall, square-shouldered man. And he's a really, really strong athlete. They come underneath the Prudential banner. That's when they have to have it all there. Scotty with a quick little adjustment. There he is right there. Shane Gaffney in his pain cave. He's got some pretty pictures on his arms, wearing that ODZ jersey, got his ear pods in because he's cool like that. He's listening to whatever he listens to. It might be music. It could be the Celine Dion soundtrack from Las Vegas. There's also a strong possibility that it's just a recording of monkeys calling during mating season. Hard to tell, but whatever it is, it works for him. He's doing a great job. That's Shane Gaffney right there. They're going to try to stay at the front here. This is a 40.8 kilometer race with 2 massive climbs in them. That's right. We're going to go up Leith Hill. That is the less known, slightly more popular. There's Team Draft right there. Big E, Eric Sorensen with a little picture in the window. We're starting to see lots of these folks come online with the approved and preferred design on their display. It helps us see the entire course, entire interface that Zwift wants to see, and allows us to see much, much more of the peoples. But there he is in the corner right there, just trying to stay near the front of this group, not get separated off the back. Looks like everybody in this big A group made it. Now, here we go into the women's field. They're getting ready to start. 5 seconds to go. This women's field is going to explode. Stephanie Ossenbrink is who we're looking at right there with lots of nice comments. Then we jump around. Allison Kubota on the front of this. She's the right one to stay with. Rhonda Stickle with a great performance last week. Dives out in the front. She's getting 10 watts per kilo. Those are big orange numbers. Those are dangerous and really, really powerful. Katie Pothier still in that group. The PTZ, Angela Webster, and all of those folks. And Katarina Weiss in that group. I heard her called something the other day, and I'm actually going to try to recover it because I thought it was such a great way to refer to her. You see those power-ups dropping because I've got to drop them before that Prudential banner. This is the right time to do them when you're trying to get up to speed in that group. Now, as we consider what is happening here in this race, I will mention to you that this women's A group is really packed today. Jenny Mattis, Amy Fowler, Stephanie Ossenbrink, who I mentioned just a little bit ago, recovering from illness last week. She's going to try to make it up these climbs. Hopefully she's feeling better. Angela Webster, who's streaming over on CycleView. Anara Benavente also there. But Allison Kubota is the one in the points lead and the one who is hoping to hang on to this. But Rhonda Stickle could steal just a few more from her today. Rhonda does not stream. There are 5 points that she leaves off every week when she does this out of 1,000. She could get 1,005 if she wins these. But Trina Weiss is the one that we want to pay close attention to today. She is a strong sprinter, and if she can hang on to this group during that big climb, she's going to get way more points. But there are a couple people who want to get in her back pocket. That would be Jenny Mattis and Amy Fowler. Jenny Mattis is streaming. You can check her out on CycleView as well. Just put it on her camera and see what it looks like when she really rides her bike. There's Allison right there. She's moved that around just a little bit. Mirror posed behind her. That way she can peek over her shoulder and pretend like she's being chased by somebody riding backwards that look exactly like her, but doesn't matter because that's what she's got set up there. Computer right in front of her face so she can see what's going on. That's Allison Kubota, Dr. Allison Kubota, as you may notice. So they're settling in right here, and looks like they've kept just about everybody in that group. A couple of newcomers in that group. There we go. Angela Webster on her bike in her, looks like, living room. You've got a mantle behind her. You go wherever you can go and set up and ride like crazy. But these women are racing in a virtual world together. Hey there, Mixer. They are working very hard to try to stay in this group. Now, here's what's happening. This is a 40-kilometer, 20, I'll do the math, several mile race that's going to take place over the next hour. And there are going to be exciting things that happen. There she is. She's in her Team Vision kit in the game, not wearing her Team Vision kit in real life today. But sometimes you'll see a collection of those things. Okay, here we go. This is the beginning of the women's race. Allison Kubota in that real position there at the front. We are watching her in game. We are watching her on her bike. This is the hardest video game ever. There she is, Stephanie Ossenbrink. She has got a hybrid mountain bike that is just a little bit more comfortable on the bars, but the wheels spin the same speed. She's got to put the same amount of power. Stephanie recovering from injury last week. That would be the flu-type injury. Feeling it a little bit better today. She's going to hang on there. Katie Pothier right behind her in the mix. Angela Webster and the others. Trina Weiss also in that main group. Okay. This is the game as it is, the hardest video game ever. There's Katie hanging on there. She was a finalist in Los Angeles and looks to put herself in a great position today. Rhonda Stickle seems to be the power climber. She's the one really trolling at the front right now. She is the one they want to catch. She's pretty high in the standings. You can check out those standings at CVRWorldCup.com. You can check out all the things there. You can get registered for the league because this league is active. This is week 4. You can jump in, you can race, you can win stuff. Okay. Thank you for joining us. If you're just popping in, holy goodness, follow this. We'd love to be able to inform you when these ladies, these men go live again in real racing in virtual worlds. Okay. Thanks for hosting. Love the hosts. Thank you, Elm. Thank you, Broncos. Very cool. All right. Now, this is what we're looking at. We've got Allison Kubota, Dr. Allison Kubota, Material Sciences. She is trying to jump on the wheel of Stephanie Ossenbrink off the front and trying to hang on. But this is a different man. This is Scotty Weiss. This is the man with the rainbow stripes. If you've never seen those rainbow stripes, it means that this man has been a world champion. And he is trolling the front of this bike race, trying to make sure that he is in the right position, does not get separated. He won't get separated. But all of these other guys want to take down a world champion. You'll notice they don't have a 3-color jersey. They don't have the green, the yellow, the black, the red and the blue. That recognize those colors? Olympics? Okay. It's going to be on the test, so make sure that you're writing this down, those of you on Facebook and on Mixer, and of course, CVR World Cup. So there are the people, here are the people you got to pay close attention to in this race. We've got Mr. Eric Sorensen, who is hanging in this group. We're looking at him right now. That's his real life view. He's in his pain cave, looks maybe like a garage, maybe like a shed, doesn't matter. Wherever the legs can spin and the sweat can pour, that's where it happens. Eric Sorensen, a finalist for the live event in CVR World Cup LA, and a guy who wants to definitely get to Vancouver. And here is the next man, Frank, the man that we really have been rooting for over the last little bit. He's wearing a speed suit indoors, tattooed, and this is our guy, Shane Gaffney, trying to take down Scotty today. Is he the one to do it?
I think it's going to be an exciting race today. You've got Scotty out, you've got Shane out, you've got Big E Sorensen, one of my all-time favorites. You know, you got to throw everything you can at Scotty, and I think they're going to do that today. We've got a flat start, so maybe someone will try and get away, but probably all heck is going to break loose when we hit the climbs at about 20 kilometers, I think it is. So we got the front half is flat and fast. The back half is hilly and hard.
It is hilly and hard indeed. The hardest video game ever. You have to be on a real bike, everybody. You have to put real power into that real bike, and it powers your avatar against other folks. So as we look around, this is one of 8 world zones that folks are racing in. This is Zone G. We have had a number of races. You can count them. I think most of you might have to take off your shoe to count all the way up this high. But this is Zone 7 of 8 today. As we jump back in with the women here, you see Allison Kubota, her real life view down below. She got her camera poised high, but she is racing here in the virtual world, but of course in her home office location. Off the front a little bit, Rhonda Stickle just testing the waters. This will happen a lot. You'll just put a little hard effort on the front. You'll get away from the group. You'll see who is hungry and who wants to come with you. Hadn't noticed this before, but Angela Webster, the Vixen rider, is rocking the disc wheel, something that hasn't been available for quite some time. We looked at her view. There's Katie Pothier right now. She's got her camera right on her bar right there. But trying to hang on to the wheel right there of those riders, they're just a little bit of a chase group. They got separated on that climb, but those 3 need to work together to climb back to this main group, Frank. They do not want to let this much time go.
Yeah, no, what you see is Rhonda's been on fire these last couple of weeks. We've been doing climbing races. Rhonda loves climbing races. And even here on the flat, she's so excited about the climbs to come. She's really putting the power down. But as you drop someone like Katie, you're always looking to sort of win the war of attrition here, drop a few people, keep enough together to have that drafting advantage. And so they're off. We see they're steadily moving off into the distance. This group is falling back. We can switch and look at Ellison's group here quickly on. And what you see here is, Ellison's very comfortable, top of the league standings. Rhonda's at the top of the league standings. And, Rhonda's just been on a real tear, just in good form. And every time I say that, Ellison, wins the race. But exciting stuff happening. We'll watch them all along the way. And we'll take a look at a few other streamers. We get a chance to see Angela here on 7. Her feed's a little sticky. We're only getting brief feeds. We're pulling in people from all over the world. This is Zone G, so it's a lot in the Americas that we're pulling in here. So you'll see, actually, you still see some Australian, Japan, U.S., Cuba, so on and so forth here. And as we pull these feeds in from all across the globe, sometimes you get a few glitches. We got to work with the riders to get the internet's speeds and settings all correctly. But we'll have a great race today here from several different views. And of course, we've always got our ability to overwatch. So if we switch to 1 as an example, we have a chance here. We always have the chance to play with the avatars, look at them from the side, take a look back. Nobody back there. It's all forward at this particular point in time. So exciting racing today, and we'll keep changing through some of the various riders who are streaming.
Very, very cool. And yes, we're seeing this, this group kind of get a little bit of a breakaway here, but you have a lot of the names you would expect in this. Now, it looks like Katie Pothier, who will check in from time to time. Now, she's racing in a sense in a little bit of a different field. She is in that women's field, and she's racing against Anna Rogers, that women's B field, trying to outrun some of these folks. Vivian Workman, Louise Joubert, also in that group with Laura Hewitt. So that's another race within this race. But Allison Kubota, the points leader right now, trying to hold off Rhonda Stickle for another week. But she comes for her every week. Rhonda Stickle on fire, as you mentioned. Trina Weiss also doing very, very well. She's working hard in this group. Now, this is a tricky one for the Weiss family. They find themselves both racing in the same household at the same time. Scotty in the other race, she's in this one. And they have to get life balanced in a way that they can do it. Family, satiated for just a little bit so they can get back on the bike and race this zone together. It's quite a commitment for a family of world-class athletes, but hey, that's what you do. As we look around the field, thank you very much. Great commentary happening here, there, and everywhere. Very, very cool to see all of the new fans jumping in. If you're here for the first time, make sure you hit the follow, and we can notify you when these races go off. You want to cheer for these fans. Allison Kubota is the one that we're watching now, the favorite to maybe repeat and find herself at the major coming up in about 8 weeks time in Scotty in Vancouver, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Okay, Scotty. Yep, we do. McCabe from Team Draft starting to exercise some of these team dynamics. Okay, let's talk a little bit about team dynamics here. If you look at their names, if you're new to this, there's a name behind their name. Eric Sorensen right here, who is part of Team Draft, and we're looking at his view right here on the course. A little bit of stutter there. That can happen over the interwebs from time to time. But there's Scotty. Team Draft wants to take down Scotty. They want to make it hard on him at the very least to do what he wants to do. There's a Team ODZ rider with the orange, green, blue, and black. You've got some other folks from Randa. I know it. You know what? I think it can happen. We've seen it before, where if you can put him in a little bit of trouble here and there. Shane Gaffney, as we're looking on right here, you can at least separate him. If you can get down to a sprint finish with Scotty, you've got a chance. You've got a chance. And he's not infallible. He's made mistakes at events before. He's made little mistakes at live events. He's beatable. And we've seen him get beat. It's just not that often.
Oh, come on. Draft is out here. The little match, the little fuse is burning. The tape. I guess I'm, so old. I remember when the tape used to burn in the machine, right, for Mission Impossible. So the draft guys, they all got around, and I guess it's Tom Cruise now, right? So it's much cooler these days. But this is really a job that is going to be a difficult job. You've got Eric Sorensen out, definitely can beat Scotty on a good day. It's got to be a really good day. It might only be one of those a year. And I think Scotty's confirmed that for me. He said, I think Eric can only beat me on one day every year. No, Scotty hasn't said that. Scotty's a great guy to be around, a fantastic athlete. And we see him going really hard here. Now you see McCabe, another huge attack, Lavelle and McCabe out in front here. And this is very interesting. This is animating the race very early, trying to get a gap maybe to the hill and get some attrition going here.
As we see it from his perspective a moment ago, the big push up the top of the hill. He's got to find himself in the middle of that school of fish and make sure that he doesn't find himself separated, or the sharks will get him. But Scotty Weiss, the shark himself, making sure that he stays up there with Team Draft. Look at those jerseys, the red stripe down the back. The raccoon, reverse raccoon jersey, as you called it, is that of Team Draft. There's Shane Gaffney again, the ODZ rider, making sure that he gets back in that group. He did a nice job, but that's not something you want to have to do all the time. That's super tough. Hey, if you are joining us and on the discussion here, make sure that you answer this question. In the men's field, who's going to win? Scotty Weiss or the field? You've got about 2 minutes to answer that. We'd love to know what you think. Click on it. Who's it going to be? Poll up, Scotty Weiss or the field? Who's going to win this race today? So, Frank, quick question for you, and I'll let you take it. Well, for Scotty here, is he really just looking to see what's going to happen, or does he come into a race like this, the triple loop, with a very specific plan? I want to do these following things at these times.
Well, I think for Scotty, he does definitely come into a plan. Actually, for Scotty, unlike most humans, this first part of the race is what's hard, and I think that's why you see, for instance, here some more attacks going. Scotty's a light rider, a very light rider. He is a brilliant climber. So he looks at the second half of this race and he salivates. He licks his lips. He's like, I'm going to destroy everybody on the climbs. Everybody else says, oh, Scotty is going to try and destroy us on the climbs. But we have an advantage on the flats. And the advantage is when you're as light as Scotty, while he can still put out amazing power, he puts out typically less power than someone who is highly muscular but weighs quite a bit more. So those guys on the flats actually have an advantage. If they can gap Scotty and hold a high wattage, not a watts per kilogram, but just a high wattage, just keep the power high, it really puts Scotty into a spot of bother. The problem is you see these rainbow stripes. The rainbow stripes come from the fact that Scotty is also pretty good on the flats. And this is, he is not only a world champion road racer, he's a world champion time trialist. And that is typically, I imagine this course is a little bit more hilly, but you're going to have a hard time dropping Scotty quickly on the flats. What this would take is just repeated effort after repeated effort from just about every member of this group to really put him into a spot of bother.
No kidding. Okay, the votes are in. 80% say Scotty. 20% say the field. That's what the group believes. And you know what? I think that's the conventional wisdom. And those of you who are in the 20, you're probably with me. And I like Scotty very much. We've spent time together. I think he's a good dude. It's really interesting. A man from Virginia trying to figure out exactly where his accent comes from. It's really interesting. Sounds kind of a little bit Georgia, a little bit Texas, a little bit British. I don't quite understand it. Anyway, but he is definitely the kind of guy who takes this very, very seriously. And but I, like many of you in that 20, I think it would be exciting to see somebody else who doesn't have those stripes take one away from him. But this is probably not the day, right? Maybe the pool to ask is where is he going to leave them behind? Is it the first climb? Is it the second climb? That is the bigger question. Excellent. Thank you for joining us. You are watching the women's race right now, on board with Allison Kubota, the Vision Rider. This is the game view that we are seeing right now, but these are real riders on real bikes. There's another one right there, very specifically, Stephanie Ossenbrink, able to hang into this group. This was a concern of hers last week. She had a really strong start. She's a great rider, but she was sick, found herself in trouble early on the climb. It was 2 times up Box Hill last week. That was the London 8, and she found herself just suffering and having to essentially unplug from the race effort and just finish it to get as many points as possible. There we are on board with Angela Webster, strong racer, strong rider. Not great latency right now for her, but that'll get worked out in subsequent weeks. This is just week 4. There's Katie Pothier. Now, from her point of view, and I think we stay on her for just a second, she's a PTZ rider, strong PTZ rider, very popular in the racing community and very strong. But she is racing a couple of very specific people in this group, including Anna Rogers up the road just a little bit more. In that B group, Anna Rogers is her main competitor. And Anna managed to catch on to that lead group and is really just kind of cycling through the wash up there with that group. Now, she's hanging on to the back of that group. It looks like Allison Kubota and Rhonda Stickle are moving away from that group. Trina is right there. Hey there, Katie. Good to see you. It was fun seeing you in LA. We'll see you again. I have no doubt in a future event you're a strong rider. Okay, Allison Kubota is in this lead group. And she and Rhonda Stickle have started to separate themselves from the group. Trina is trying to chase on. Trina Weiss, just behind Angela Webster, is also chasing hard. This is a tough gap. When they came up that hill through what is Trafalgar Square in the real world and the virtual, they really separated that group. But if they can see them, they can catch them. 4 seconds, though, you're going to have to do a little bit more. Stephanie curled over her bars, pumping it out, doing as much as she can. She's got to catch the next wheel, and then the next, and then the next, and keep going until her chances are spent or they win. Sorry, that was Rogue One. Apologies for the movie quotes. But Ossenbrink, Weiss, Rogers, all trying to chase back on to Allison Kubota and Rhonda Stickle. It looks like they're going to do it. Unless Rhonda Stickle decides she's going to counterattack over the top, and she just might have done that. She ramped up, but it is not really all that strong. Nope, they're a collective group again, but behind, doing a completely different pace at this point, is Anna Rogers, disconnected off the back. She got a little advantage here, but now is the time for Katie Pothier to perhaps strike and catch her maybe before the climb or early in the climb. Congrats, Stephanie. Great job getting back on that group. For many of you who race or who have raced or watched races, that is one of the toughest things you can do. The group starts to leave you. The rider you're following starts to lead you. You lose that aerodynamic advantage of being in someone's draft. There she is, Katie Pothier. And that is your entire race in this tiny little snow globe of fury. You find yourself trying to catch on, and that's it. If you fail, if you don't catch the group, your race is over at that point. The fast riders are going to leave you behind. So it's an all or nothing proposition. And that's what she did right there. Stephanie Ossenbrink showing that she had one more match. How much do you have left in you? Someone like Scotty will have N+1, right? Sample size +1. It's a little bit of math for you. Okay, as they're coming right here down the red tarmac in front of Buckingham Palace, they'll come into the Prudential Ride London banner, and you can see Stephanie's view from her pain cave. She's doing a nice job getting comfortable, having a little bit of water there, relaxing, putting her arms over the bars, just settling in here. She needs to get her heart rate to drop a little bit. She needs to get the overall power to drop a little bit. She needs to see if she can recover some energy on this. Okay, back to the men's field. We've got an elevation of the pace and some men who are trying to escape this field. A little bit of a scattered telemetry there as we come through one of the trickier sections. But here's what's going to happen. They're going to come around. They're going to make a right turn and then another turn right away. I believe this is a right turn. Yes, they're going to do the right turn. We'll see right here. And they're going to head up Leith Hill. There it is, heading up Leith Hill. This is part of this triple loop that I talked about in the beginning. And they are about to hit this big climb. If you look over in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, Scotty Weiss's screen, anybody's screen, you see the percentage grade, right? Percentage grade, 1%. That's probably walking up most of your driveway. Or if it's really steep, 2%. What if it's one of those crazy like hillside neighborhoods? Well, it could be 3%. 3% is hard. It takes a lot of energy. But this is going to get up to 5%. Up to 7%, up to 10%, until it is out of control. The equivalent of about 15%. Imagine you're riding your bike up the stairs. That's how crazy it gets. Back on board with Eric Sorensen. He uses a beer as his power up. You see it up there on the top of his screen. He put that there. But he's telling us that the beer is his power up. Okay. McCabe, again, trying to animate the front of this. Guzman, just doing what he does, actually a little bit further behind. Interesting data coming from some of these folks. We'll find out a little bit more about Guzman here in just a moment, if we're calling his name or not. Tyndall rotating to the front. Brian Typen also in that group coming up the front. There he is, Shane Gaffney. You're seeing it from his POV. This is his pain cave. He's got another bike in the background in case he blows this one up, which could happen. In fact, he's ridden so hard before he's had to actually take his bike out back and shoot it, put it out of his misery. He goes through a lot of bikes here, but he's got a lot of power. He's just going to try to stay in this group. He doesn't care what we say. Ryan Corliss just up ahead of him, but everybody is chasing the man with the rainbow stripes, and that is Scotty Weiss. Okay, You'll notice the team draft. There he is. He's trying to get on the wheel, and he's going to pass this CRC rider right now. Who's going to stay with him? Corliss trying to jump on, but this is 6.9 watts per kilo. Take how many watts you can put out. Take how many kilos you weigh. Kilos, by the way, for you American gamer knuckleheads, is what the rest of the world calls pounds, except that the math. Just ask your iPhone. You'll figure it out. Okay. Scotty Weiss doing his thing with the rainbow stripes. Just basically double it. Okay. So he's doing his thing. He's putting as much power into this as he can, and he is climbing up that hill. Look at the effort put out by him. He is a amazing physical athlete, and he's starting to gap some of the best riders in all the world in virtual racing. Ryan Corliss, Leonard, many of these folks. Of course, Sorensen being one of those as well. Shane Gaffney now 17 full seconds behind, trying to salvage everything that he can. Is there anybody who can catch him on this climb, or is this the move of note?
So we don't. We've got some latency issues with Eric's feed here, but we're going to stick with it a little bit for two reasons. One, you see he's still up towards the front. Scotty's leaving everybody in the dust at the moment. And what you have here, but you can just sort of see the effort, you know, the open mouth, the hair sort of flying from the fans, but it certainly fits the effort as we go up the hill here from Eric. And if we go back to Scotty, you'll see Scotty's just dancing on the top of his pedals. And, you know, he looks like he's suffering a little bit here. He's got a little bit of a grimace on there. So maybe there's some hope for everybody to reel him back in. Now, what's going to happen here is the rest of this group, if they're smart, the next 10, 12 guys will stay together. They don't want to blow up. And if they stay together, they can catch Scotty on the downhill. And it gets a little bit flat here again. This is not game over yet. In fact, this may be a great tactic to get Scotty to burn up some of his energy and maybe set up for the second climb of the day.
Maybe indeed set up for the second climb of the day, and that is it. And now it's not as substantial a climb as this one, but it's a big one nonetheless. There's Shane Gaffney pushing, trying to maybe cover that distance. It looks like Brian is with him there typing, and they're trying to do this together. But boy, they've got a long way to go to get to some of those other folks, don't they?
Yeah, they absolutely do. It is a long climb here. You see Scotty still putting out big power, 6 and 7 watts per kilogram as he, does this climb. You've got McCabe and the rest of this group, McCabe, Sorensen, Corliss, and hopefully we'll be able to get some different views here as we pull these riders in. But really the hope here is just limit the loss. The gradient here you can see is sort of levels out for a bit. There's even a little bit of a downhill here. And Scotty's going to be worried about this, right? The group behind him has a huge advantage when it flattens out, and really even a magnificent advantage when they go downhill. So if they keep him within 30 seconds, they can reel him back in for the start of the next climb. Now, what Scotty's trying to do here is really break their spirit, just sort of go so fast, go so far, go so hard that the rest of everybody goes, okay, you know what? We agree with the 80% of the people on the internet. It's going to be Scotty's day, and he's going to just, go off and, win the day, and we're gonna go for second place. So there's definitely some mental warfare going on here, if you will, to try and get the other people to just sort of give up. But it doesn't look like that's happening.
Nope, it doesn't. And they've got quite a bit of and hopefully you can maybe just tell us a little bit about the Guzman echo up there. No, it's 0 watts. There's nothing happening up there. We thought maybe got away just a little bit, but nobody gets away in this G group. He's putting out a lot of interesting power, but it shows up in the list above. But Scotty is our leader here.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and check that with the officials and see. I mean, I did see him, disappear, but sometimes we get what we call flyers in game. Not saying that this is the case here, but we'll do some checking.
No, awesome. And if you are joining us for the first time on Mixer, on Facebook, Click that follow button. We'll be able to bring you these amazing world-class riders. All right, as we take a peek at Shane Gaffney here, we know that the women are just about in the same position of discomfort. These are women and men who are racing on real bikes, but on power trainers that translate that power into their bike. And they're also streaming the view so that we can cheer for them as well. You can cheer for them, of course, over on cycleview.cvrworldcup.com as well. Okay, we're on board with Allison Kubota here, the Vision Rider. She is right at the front of this group. This has become a power quintet right here. Rhonda Stickle, Angela Webster, Stephanie Austin-Brink are doing a great job, and Trina Weiss. Now, Trina is in the kit up there, just a little bit ahead. She's in that red and white kit that is just in front of her. Now, as we look at the view, as Stephanie streams it to us directly from her home pain cave, you see that she is over the bar. She's configured a more comfortable setup for these rides. At least it's comfortable for her. She's a superpower mountain biker and out in these races. Stephanie Austin-Brink trying to stay on the wheel of Rhonda Stickle, the Vixen rider. There are 2 Vixen riders in this matchup, but the hills tend to separate even the best of friends and teammates. You may find them separated here in just a little bit. Trina Weiss trying to catch on to the back here. She's in the right position, and Allison Kubota knows right where she needs to be, tucked in the wheel of this savvy rider in Weiss. They don't want to let Rhonda get too far ahead. In fact, Weiss is doing the work to pull back. Now, Austin-Brink really just settling into a comfortable position after a week of illness. She gets back on the bike, and this may be her moment. She's got to see if there's anything left in the tank and explode back to the wheel of Angela Webster, who in herself is getting left behind by that trio up ahead. This could be the separation. Out of the saddle, putting as much as she can in. But if you have stood up on your pedals to climb a hill, any of you, you know how difficult it is. And if that's all you have left, the end is near. She'll have to settle into a better pace and try not to get caught by Rogers, Benavente, Hewitt, or Pothier, who are a little bit further down the hill. And we'll tell you about them in a minute. All right. Allison Kubota, the Vision Rider, managing to pull back to Rhonda Stickle. Now the gap is 0 seconds, 6.5 watts per kilo. That is some hard effort there. If you can't do the math on watts per kilo, that's fine. Just know that bigger numbers are harder. Smaller numbers are easier. Okay. Kubota, the Vision Rider, is doing a very, very nice job trying to catch on. But she doesn't want to dangle off the back here like this, Frank. She wants to close that gap right away, get even a minuscule amount of aerodynamic advantage from her as they're climbing up this tough part of the Leith Hill climb. But she's got to get on the tail and just stay right there.
Well, what you see here is, 2 sort of classic types of riders. You've got, Ellison, who can sprint, overall great rider, can sprint, can time trial, and you've got Rhonda, who just loves it when it goes uphill. Like, I hate it when it goes uphill. I don't know, if you've ever ridden a bike and you go uphill, it just hurts. Typically it's like, I think I'm going to get off and walk. Well, these people just fly up these hills, but Rhonda just, she licks her lips. She really wants to go after these hills. So what you see here, Leith Hill sort of got a dig at the beginning, and it's got a flat section. Then it's going to get really hard again, as we move out here. So Ellison's just trying to stay in contact with Rhonda, use her advantages here on the flat. You see Katrina is here as well. Rhonda can probably gap them on the next part of this climb, but then these two could work together, right? That's one of those things where you have to, oftentimes riders make a mistake. They can leave a rider, and they do, but then you're on your own. 2 against 1, that's much better than 1 against 1. And so
quick math, it absolutely is.
Right? Yep. So it's kind of like those kilograms, right? You just kind of double them. Really, it's 2.2 times, but let's not get into the complicated math and decimals and fractions and all that sort of stuff. But if you double this, and so they're probably going to want to stay together. Now, I don't know. Maybe Ellison doesn't want to play it that way. Maybe she doesn't want to drag Katrina along. But I think because they're going to crest on this climb, do a descent, and then do another climb, that it would be wise for them to stay together. And so we'll see how this goes. Now, maybe Rhonda will be like, I'm not going to try and leave him on this one. I'm going to leave him on the next one. I think that would be an interesting poll. What we know from Ellison is she's got a big engine, she's got a big heart, and whenever you vote against her, she makes you a liar. So interesting developments today.
No kidding. Just about a minute left on the poll right now. Who do you think is going to take this? Is it Rhonda Stickle, Allison Kubota, or Trina Weiss? They're right there. Give a vote. Let them know, even if you don't know who's going to win. Who would you like to see win out of this collection of strong women and their riders? And in a minute, we'll show you what it looks like from their point of view in their pain caves. A lot of different riders doing their thing. If this is your first time here, they're about to descend. Give a follow. We'll let you know when these men and women are racing again. All right, back to the men's race right now. This is a hard effort by Eric Sorensen, frozen in time there. There's Scotty Weiss in his pain cave as well. And a momentary, just a glance at our guy. Well, that was, here's Stephanie Austinbrink as she climbs up this right now. But as Sorensen doing his powerful work right there, Leonard, Cameo, Lisa, all of these folks chasing, trying to get onto Scotty Weiss's wheel, and he is a minute ahead of these folks. This is his point of view as he's descending hard here, but he doesn't descend easy. He goes as hard as he can. Look at that heart rate. He's going downhill, 6% down, -6, and he is still putting out lots and lots of power.
Yeah, what you see there, which is a great tactic that Scotty just did. So you just saw him in super tuck position, but what he did is he went super hard and gained momentum, and then went ahead and went into the super tuck position, maximizing his momentum as he's going downhill for as little effort as possible. So you see he's 42 miles per hour here. Everybody else is just coming over the top of the climb and just starting on the descent. Now, a minute and a half is going to be hard to bring back, and you've only got like maybe 5 guys that stayed together, 4 guys actually that stayed together. It's going to be a tough day for them to try and bring it back, but I can tell you one thing for sure. Big E is going to drive this bunch and try and bring them back.
Yeah, he is. This is the excitement for them. He got away. You got a single guy away, but you definitely have the aerodynamic advantage of a big group like this. But we've seen it before. They've got to put in the power that he does. Scotty is really, really savvy. If he sees you coming for him, he will put in the power to break your will. And at some point, some of these guys are maybe going to give up. Eric never will. Eric will fight to the very last. He is Big E for a reason, and he does great work. Now, people asking, are these stationary bikes? Well, no, these are regular bikes. And as you see Scotty's point of view, you can tell that he's on rollers. Frank, what are rollers?
Rollers are dangerous. So for those of you who have never ridden a bike on rollers, it is a balancing act. It's kind of like a trapeze, but a little safer. You're much closer to the ground. But they're literally rollers. You just ride your bike on top of them. But you see here Scotty sort of rocking back and forth, and he gets out of the saddle. You see his bike is moving a lot. And if you don't know what you're doing, you just fall over. And you can also go so hard you jump the rollers and you hit a wall. I don't know how I would know that, but I did recover from my injuries fairly quickly. So they're lots of fun. They really teach you how to ride your bike. It's fun to try and take a drink out of your bottle. It's kind of like trick riding, but it's really fun. If you've never done it, go somewhere safe, lots of padding, and give it a whirl. It's a great experience.
Yeah, it is. It is a great experience indeed. Okay, we are. You can see by the bar on the top of Scotty's feed right there, almost at that 75% away. 7.5 miles left to go in this race. It's going to end pretty quickly. And the question on everybody's mind is: this group going to be able to pull back a minute and 9 seconds now to Scotty? As he starts to flatten out, they'll be able to maintain that momentum. Eric Sorensen with a group of 4 men in the big chase. There he is, Big E. They're trying to hunt him down, and they want to do it. That's the story on the day. 1 minute and 4 seconds, 1 minute and 1 second, under a minute at times as Scotty tries to pick up his watts per kilo. But these guys are going to be able to move faster together.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you see here is you saw that time coming down. It's at 53, 56 seconds, bouncing around a little bit on our telemetry feed here from Zwift. And you notice these guys are doing hardly any power, and Scotty's doing 6 watts per kilogram. And that's the advantage on the downhill. Now, the thing is, these guys are now hitting the flats, and they're going to have to put out 5.5 watts per kilogram to even have a prayer to catch Scotty. But they're still within striking distance. But if they let Scotty get to the next hill, it's pretty much game over.
It is pretty much game over indeed. Now, as this group comes together, they're going to have to, and I hope you're listening, boys, because here's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to be able to put together as much power on the front. Now, it doesn't have to be all of you matching or exceeding what Scotty is doing, but it's got to be one of you at a time. So take pulls, take turns. Everyone else will benefit from the draft to be able to do a little bit more with a little bit less. And together you can claw that distance back. But he's going to need Leonard. He's going to need Cameo. He's going to need himself, right? And Cal as well to be able to do that. They're going to have to do big work, and they're starting to do it. All right, jumping back in with our women, we see our 2 leaders, Rhonda Stickle having a virtual drink. Not sure if she's doing it in real life. And Allison Kubota, the Vision Rider. Allison is, of course, broadcasting her experience as well from home. You can tune in and see her on the CycleView app. But this is a 10% grade. There's a reason in the upper right-hand corner that number is red, is because it is really, really steep right here. And it is unbelievably painful to do this. Now, you'll notice that,
that's something we should mention for all of the people who are watching. The trainers change their resistance. So as you go uphill, it's like riding a bike outside going uphill. It gets hard to pedal. You have to shift your gears. So the game simulates. So not only do we take the power, digitize it, and inject it into a virtual world, the virtual world returns some digital packets, and that trainer converts that into resistance as you go uphill.
Yes, converts it and makes that pain real. It's not just relaxing in your house. This is real training, and the people who do this suffer from what a lot of people describe as the Zwift effect, right? Zwift being the world that these folks are riding in right now, where they'll show up for their local race or their local club ride at the beginning of the season when everyone's still fat, happy, and bundled up. And they've got all the power in the world because they've been doing real races all year. Okay, now we're looking at Katie Pothier. She's in a big group here, and they have pulled back Anna Rogers. There she is, her number 1 opponent in the group. Now, she's a PTZ rider, Katie Pothier is. And by the way, that is how she pronounces her name. I verified. I asked her face-to-face. But Anna Rogers from Team Fearless. You get the less? Yeah, I figured you would. They are battling it out in the standings right now to see who is going to be number 1 in this B division. Anna is actually not nearly as high in the overall points as she is. But if you do this right now, if Katie can beat her across the line, and there's one rider, maybe Laura Hewitt, maybe Vivian Workman in between them, she can actually jump her in the overall standings. They came in 2nd position and 3rd position overall, but that first place rider is not here today. So this is the exciting race. She puts her hands down, the arms down on there. She's just trying to get comfortable. I've done that before. You're moving around on the bike. Is it more aero? No, it doesn't matter. It's like Lamaze. You're just trying to distract yourself from the pain. It's not that it provides anything more to put your elbows on the bars or your hands on the drops. It doesn't matter. You're just trying to get comfortable. And she's got to close that little bit of a gap, but it looks like Rogers is doing a little bit more work on the front. It shows a second, but it's right there. She can reach out and grab. Nice job. Now, she'd be smart here to roll to the front, keep her pace going. If she backs it off just a little bit, she's in a lot of pain. She might be right at the limit there. Katie Pothier from Team PTZ trying to hang on to just edge Anna Rogers in the overall B division. Okay, the big women come over the top. These are not big women, by the way. I mean, the women at the elite. You know what, Frank? Take over. I'm just saying terrible things.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you should just not try and recover from that one. But these elite women who are fantastic.
That's the word. That's the word I meant. That's the word. These elite women.
they've gotten to the top of the climb. Ellison rode Rhonda's wheel all the way. Sometimes a little gap would open up, but fantastic. You see the heart rates are coming down a little bit here as they hit the flats, but saving a little bit for the next climb, I'm sure. But fantastic climb by both of these women. Fantastic job by Ellison to stay on the wheel of Rhonda. And I think Rhonda's got to lose Ellison on the next climb, or I would favor Ellison in the sprint.
Yep, and I think that you're right. She's definitely got that. That's one of the things that Rhonda's tried to do in previous weeks as they've hit these climbs. She's tried to escape from the sprinters, and she's broken a couple of them off the back, including Trina Weiss. She's back there just a little bit further. All right, jumping back into the men's field, we see that Sorensen and his collection, his posse, is now only three. No, it's still four men. One was hiding there. You'll notice the wheels on those bike. Every single one of those riders with the Zwift experimental bike. This is a bike that can only be unlocked if you climb a ridiculous number of feet. Basically, a little more than 5 times more than what it would take to climb to the top of Mount Everest. Once you do all of that, you get this bike and you can make the wheels turn any color you want. Scotty's got that, and he's got a pink bike underneath him.
I think,
but his real life bike, yeah.
I think I saw a crack in the armor there on Scotty. You missed it. I get to see 10 screens, all sorts of feeds coming in here to CVR Studio. But he actually checked back on the group behind him.
Really?
Yeah, so he looked over his shoulder. I don't think I've seen Scotty do that very often. We see his pain face here. I think Scotty is suffering here. He's halfway up this last climb, and I think he's just a little bit nervous that everybody might make a charge for him here at the end. He wants more than 40 seconds, right?
He does.
And of course,
if he were any kind of world champion, he would spend a little bit of this climb doing one-legged drills. I would love to see that. If he's any kind of champion at all, he would do those one-legged drills right now. The mixer crowd is loving them some Scotty Weiss. Scott for mod. I love it. Okay. As we're getting a little bit further up the hill here, we see that these guys are trying to pull it back. And that gap was at one time 1 minute and 10 seconds. It's now only 50 seconds. But now is the time they've got to pull it back. And they're putting in the big watts right now. Kagama right there from Japan leading this charge. And Leonard, Sorensen, and Kameo really happy to have him putting down that power. These guys are all lined out, nice long line, trying to climb back to Scotty. But he knows how hard they're going. He's trying to go just a little bit harder. And that's what Scotty does. You'll notice, if you're new to this, there is a special jersey next to his name over on the right side. It's got polka dots on it. That means he is the current record holder on course for this climb. He's done it faster than anybody else, and that doesn't buy you much on a climb like this, except maybe some confidence, Frank. And he definitely has the confidence. He's getting close to the top here. This is the standard approach up this Box Hill virtual course, but emulating the real Box Hill in London. 3.9 miles to go. Less than, I'd say, about a half a mile to the top here, and then a long descent and a sprint through virtual London. He'll go across, of course, the Tower Bridge and many of the other landmarks around there to come across that finish line. But these guys want to catch him, and they're chipping away a second at a time on Scotty Weiss.
Well, and I think we have 8 different zones across the globe, and the winner of each zone goes to a live event. The next live event is in Vancouver. Previous live events have been in Las Vegas, London, Paris, Los Angeles. In Vancouver, the winner will take 10K, at least 10K. We do crowdfunding, we do cheering. It'll be over 10K, but the winner of those races will take home 10K. Exciting stuff. But here in Zone G, they're having a tough time with Scotty, and so they're going to have to get on their horses and ride in the coming weeks if they're going to take Scotty's spot in Vancouver.
Vancouver, yeah, he wants that spot. He did not take the opportunity in Los Angeles, but he's been to a number of these before. Met for the first time, Scotty and I, in it was London, and then again in oh no, of course it was in Paris when we did these live events. And here he comes over the top, the crowd cheering him on. There it is, Erik Sorensen trying to just put in as much as he can. He's leaving this group behind. He wants that second position. He wants all that points. He doesn't want to sprint against Cameo, Leonard, or any of these others. Maybe he's trying to inspire them, but it doesn't look like they're that inspired. They are 2, 3, and 4 seconds behind him now. He is throwing it down, and this is the right time to attack because he can get all of the advantage. He'll be able to descend before them. He'll be able to finish this climb before them and put lots of space between them. But can he catch Scotty? It's 1:12 by Scotty's point of view. I don't know if that's possible. Scotty doing everything he can. No one-legged drills for Scotty today. I think that's kind of weak, but whatever. Scotty is his own team, his own island of one. Erik Sorensen from Team Draft, the only Team Draft rider left in this position. The next one, McCabe, more than 3.5 minutes back. But that is the way this is going to shape out. These guys on the front of the race trying to get to Scotty, but it's not going to happen today. As soon as he hits the top of this little climb right here, he is going to start to descend proper. And he's going to be going faster than anybody else. 9%. He's getting lots of love. Dan Netzer. We know Dan. He's none of your Dan business, Dan Netzer. He is one of the guys who raced in L.A. as well at the live event. That would be the World Cup event in Los Angeles. The next one coming up here just a little bit as he starts to descend here. There it is in real time. He's really kicking it down the hill. There's an opportunity for Scotty to win an unprecedented amount of money. People asking on Mixer and Facebook, why do they do this? Well, if Scotty qualifies, he could win how much money, Frank?
Over $10,000 at just one event. And we have a number of events per year. And so it's a new sport. It's a new professional league. Welcome to CVR World Cup.
Exactly. Now, we mentioned this in the previous broadcast. We'll mention it a million times that when we had the CVR World Cup LA event, that the women's field, which I think the top winner, well, actually the women's field had the top winner about I want to say around $8,000 was the top prize winner, but it paid all the way through those 20 positions, and it was the lowest prize winning person made more than the top professional women's tour rider did in that entire weekend. So virtual cycling, you say, what's the point? The point is real athletes, real bikes, real drama, real strategy mixed into a virtual world. It allows folks from 8 zones all across the world to race in different places. You see riders here from the US, from Cuba, from Japan, from Australia, all of them racing together, from Canada. They're racing together right now from their home locations. Very, very exciting stuff. If you are just joining us here, thank you very much. So many great people jumping in on Mixer, on Facebook. If this is your first time here and you want to see these folks win some unbelievable money, this hardest video game ever, then click that follow. Make sure that we can notify you when it comes back on again. All right, these men coming to the bottom of this hill, and they are going to put it together for this big finish. I think this is where the sprint is going to come. Scotty's not going to get caught at this point. He's sitting on a full minute and 12, 13 seconds. He'll be coming to the finish line soon. But who's it going to be? Kameo, Leonard, Kamagawa, and of course, the guy that everyone is kind of crossing their fingers for, at least on Team Draft, and that is Big E, Erik Sorensen. We'll find out which one of these folks is going to take that second position and those points. And we could see a shakeup in the men's standings today in this Zone G. Now, Scotty Weiss is currently in that first position. But Erik Sorensen, who has been lingering around number 2, could lock up that second position and only be 7 points behind Scotty Weiss. That would be huge if he can finish and take this second position. But Jeremy Hunter wants all of those points, as does Brian Typen. They both want to be in that position. Shane Gaffney a little bit further down and quite a few minutes down by comparison. Probably not going to be it, but it's one of these 4 men that are chasing Scotty right now that are going to be in this position. Okay, this is the big finish. We're getting really close to the finish of this. Scotty is kind of backed it off a little bit, maybe starting his cool down protocol. Maybe not. These boys are starting to eat this up. Whoa, we're seeing some killer numbers coming from this group. 10, they were coming up and out of the tunnel. Then they pull back a little bit more time on Scotty. But is he going to accelerate and grow that gap? He could. Look at all those folks getting the ride-ons. That's in-game, how you just give a little like or a love to what they do. Those big old thumbs up drop in your back pocket. And you can see those thumbs up in their back pocket just kind of poking out. They don't add any weight. They just add a little bit more confidence. Okay, so here is the question for those who are watching. There are 4 riders who are going to win this, and we'll ask the easy question. We'll ask men's number 2 right here, and that is it going to be Big E or one of those 4 in the field? It's Big E versus the field. We want to know what you think, Mixer. Thank you very much. And give a quick vote here, just about 90 seconds on this vote. Give a quick vote. Thank you very much. Who's going to win this, take second position in this men's field? Is it Big E or is it one of these guys in the field? Who's going to get it? Would love to know. Okay, as we get ready for the finish here, we see that Scotty is in a good position, but he's not giving this thing up. He wants a really fast time around here, and he wants to make sure that these guys are not going to catch him. They're not going to pull back a minute. These men starting to posture right now. So while Mixer answers the question, Frank, I'll throw it to you. Who's in the best position as a sprinter to win this? Kameo, Sorensen, Leonard, Kaugama.
Leonard is taking off, and we've got, I like Big E Sorensen here. I'm on him. We'll see if he can close this gap.
Ooh, there he goes.
Yeah,
big dig indeed. There he goes. Leonard digging. Kameo trying to follow his wheel. Eric Sorensen looking for any little draft that he can get. 300 meters to go. Kameo, Kaugama, second back, but he's got the most power. Can he do it? There's a little bit of a dip right here. Eric Sorensen, if he's in the right position, can get it. But Leonard is totally dwarfed by Kamagao, and Kameo comes around. Looks like he's going away with this one. Sorensen's going to be able to get that third position overall, and they finish bang, 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 just like that. The guy in the back, Kaugama, is not the one who ends up with the best position here. Wow, big, big finish. This is what it looked briefly from Eric Sorensen's position. Very, very exciting. That is some serious power right there. Just a little bit broken up. As we look from his position, this is what he saw. He saw those guys go big and try to come around at the end. Look at that power coming out of his face. He just gets over the bars and just throws his legs down. He mashes those like a whole bunch of baby Smurfs. Just blue goo everywhere. Comes across the line, takes that third position. Very happy to have those points. Kameo, though, with an unexpected big finish for him today. Very good. Okay, taking a look at the women's field big matchup. They are getting close to the end here. 35 kilometers into this 40-kilometer race, only 5 to go. This is the last critical section of this big climb, and they are still together. Rhonda Stickle, Allison Kubota from Vision, and wow, how exciting that is. Now, the sprint that we just saw, we'll revisit in a moment. It was some powerful work with some really interesting stuff. Apologies for the slight delay in that. That is entirely my fault as we look at that. When you have two screens up, one's the live view, one's the mixer view, you're going to give yourself a natural delay. But here it is. Sorensen, from his point of view, it comes around him. Kameo chasing Leonard. And then there it is. Leonard may have gone a little bit too early. Did he? Of course he did, because he got caught by the two guys he tried to jump on. He knows how powerful they are. No one expected that from Kameo. Eric Sorensen comes across right in the position that we would expect him to. Wheels go dark because he's not putting out the big power anymore. Back to the women on the climb. Allison Kubota and Rhonda Stickle.
This has been watching this. Ellison sort of, dangling. Rhonda makes attacks. She gets a little bit of a gap. Ellison stays steady Eddie, and then maybe ups it a little bit and brings it back. And you see sort of Ellison doing a dig there. And trying to make sure she stays in contact. We're almost at the top of this hill. This is sort of the last moment for the climber to get away. Ellison is being really attentive, and we see Rhonda back off
There
and
she
hit
goes
600
again.
kilograms.
Yeah.
And she's
Yep, she is. She does that. She slides to the back. Allison, being as wise as she is, she has a PhD, you know, a real one in real life, and finds that she knows exactly what the predictive model is for Rhonda Stickle, not able to get away. Allison is a steady power rider. She's a time trialist, and she's a dang good one. Multiple state championships for her. Yeah. And so as she comes up to the top of this, Rhonda is not going to be able to get away, and then it becomes a sprinter's match. I love that we're checking back in on Stephanie Ossenbrink, who did a great job staying with those two riders, and now is doing an amazing job a week after illness, staying with Benavente and, of course, Trina Weiss. Both of those riders, Weiss and Ossenbrink, were in that lead group with Stickle and Kubota earlier and found themselves separated, but they've stayed together here. 1 second back, starting to fade a little bit, is Anna Rogers. Katie Pothier was in that group, the PTZ rider. Great onboard camera. We can see the work that she's doing. She has really just kind of resigned herself to a steady tapping out of the tempo to get to the top of this hill. She's in discomfort, as you would be if your heart rate were about 160. You were climbing this heavy hill here. But Katie doing a really nice job. Fun to see her race in real life as well as we got to in LA. And she really wants to catch on to Anna Rogers. Now, if she doesn't, hey, they're coming up over the top of the hill here. If she doesn't catch on to Anna Rogers here, she's going to be in a pretty decent position. She's actually going to score more points maybe than Anna Rogers. I actually haven't looked to see if she's going to get full points for her stream, but you can check it out on CVRWorldCup.com. You can check out Anna Rogers. She is one of the streamers there, as is Katie Pothier. You can actually pull up multiple riders in these different locations. Anna is broadcasting her view, but we do not see her, the rider, there. So it looks like, and again, I'm not an official here, so I won't pretend to claim that I can say it, but a little bit difference in the
Ellison
final
on
point
the
standings.
attack. Very interesting.
Yes, it is. No kidding.
Fair play.
Turnabout's fair play. Rhonda, with that polka dot jersey next to her name, means she was the fastest climber on the reverse climb up this last time, and she is the record holder right now in the game until she logs out, and then it goes on to the second fastest time. But as they come up and over this climb, they find themselves together. But now it's Rhonda who has to answer the call thrown out by Allison Kubota. The downhill is not going to yield much here for either one of them. It's very hard to escape on the downhill. But now Rhonda's going to have to answer. She's a second behind. Maybe she'll just drop into that super tuck. She won't. She'll put out the power just to try to close that distance down. But those are fickle watts, right? You have to put out so much to catch onto the wheel. She does. She comes around. Allison Kubota will slip into her stream. She'll get just a little bit of an advantage. Rhonda will really back it off here because she doesn't want to do that kind of work downhill. It just doesn't yield you very much. That power yields you something on the uphill, but not on the downhill. So they're going to descend for a while here. It'll just be playing leapfrog, the natural physics and dynamics of going down this hill. But one of these two women is going to win this race. We asked this question just a little while ago. Who do you think it's going to be? But there were three riders in that before. And now there are only two. It is Kubota and it is Stickle. So let me ask you, Frank, before we throw this out to the audience, who do you think is going to take this of these two women? Who's going to come across the line first? They have less than 2 kilometers to go.
Well, every time I've bet against Ellison, she's finished first. So I am going with Ellison today. I've learned my lesson, and I think she will cross the line in first place today.
Okay, so we'll throw it out to the group. We'll say, women, who's going to win this one? Is it going to be Rhonda Stickle or Allison Kubota? Who are you rooting for in this? If you're just joining us, don't forget to click on the follow. We want to bring you this real bike racing in a virtual world whenever it's on. Just click follow to be notified. Thank you very much for being here. Great fans out today. This is the exciting conclusion of this week 4 of the CVR World Cup League. This is one of 8 zones worldwide. This happens to be Zone G that we're calling for you right now. These are real racers, real women. In this case that we're watching right now, Rhonda Stickle, Allison Kubota, who are going to find themselves. Interesting. The vote with about 45 seconds left, 67% to Allison Kubota, 33% to Rhonda Stickle. Click on that vote at the top, unless you're on Xbox, and then you got to push the, I don't know, you get right trigger halfway down. Then okay, I don't understand it's AA. No, it's AB, up, down. Yeah, it's Konami code, folks. Just do it. But a lot of people are really favoring Allison Kubota in this. Maybe you talked him into it. That's pretty interesting, pretty exciting stuff. Okay, so as they're getting close to the finish here, Frank, do we have a decent view of Allison's home view? Is that something that we can bring up, or is it the latency from her location a problem?
We actually lost that link,
okay.
We'll talk to the helicopter guys about getting that back.
Okay. Well, that would be super helpful. Okay, so this is a race that has real value in the qualification for the live CVR World Cup Major that is happening in Vancouver, and that's happening at the end of July. And as you mentioned before, it will probably be, if not the biggest, one of the biggest women's prize purses and men's prize purses in summer racing, certainly for the women. There we go. Rhonda Stickle getting out of the saddle, but Allison Kubota pulling away. Rhonda's got to do more work than she wants to do climbing up this, and that is the trouble. Okay, back on the right view now. I can call things in time. Rhonda Stickle in the position on the front. She drifted by her, as you just saw. Allison Kubota in a better position to put herself in the right spot to sprint this one out. Now, as we come into this, let's just talk a little bit about the finish circuit, Frank. There's some turns, but these cyclists don't have to worry about negotiating those turns well. They just have to put out the power when they need to put out the power. So this is a pretty steady run-in. There's a little bit of a down, then an up, then a quick down, then an up. And the rider in the second position is actually in a better position strategically if they can just put out a little bit more power and are right on the wheel. Who is really going to be able to put out about 5 seconds of unbreakable power?
Well, I think there's a couple of things here. They don't negotiate the turns in the same way that you do outside, but there is some tactical, as you say, do you want to be in second position because you get the draft, you get a bit of a jump, and we're gonna do this right now, right here. But there's a lot of playing on how you do the draft. If you're in the front position, if you can somehow surprise the rider behind you, and because there's a little bit of lag in the game, you can actually get a gap. And if you get a gap, it's mono a mono. Now, if you don't get the gap, it's kind of game over. The person behind you is going to have to use a lot less energy, and then will sprint by you at the end. But here we go. I'm going to let you call it.
Okay, that is the meta. This is the current way things are going. Allison Kubota sitting in that second position. Team Vixen rider, very, very strong team in that lead position. Very, very cagey as we kind of dance around, try to take the right view of these riders. There she is, Allison Kubota in that second position. Who is going to flinch first? We'll see those red numbers come out. Rhonda Stickle starting to ramp up, 6 watts per kilo. That's a hard effort, but that's not a sprint. Allison Kubota, 7 watts per kilo, 8 watts per kilo, red numbers. Allison Kubota with a big kick across the line. Rhonda Stickle tries to answer a little bit late. This is the kind of gap that she can get, but can she cover the distance enough? It looks like Allison is going to come across and under the banner first, and she does. Rhonda Stickle in that second position. That is a great, great move. Oh, my goodness. Allison, well known for her great power, but not known as a great sprinter. She timed that just to perfection, didn't she?
She absolutely did. And interesting thing there. Remember I told you there's a little bit more than just how you lay down the power. Rhonda actually had some really good power numbers there. But as a climber, I don't think she's used to sprinting, and it's an experiential thing where you've done it enough, you know what the timing is, you know when to go, you see how the other person reacts, you just get the timing right. It's a lot about timing, it's a lot about your positioning, and Allison was just spot on there. And because of that little bit of a lag, like I said, and Ellison came out of the back position, and Rhonda just a half a second too late on the response, and that half a second cost her because she had the power. Had she been right on Ellison's wheel, she would have been neck and neck. It would have been a tough call to see who was going to win. And we'll, get back and run a replay on that. We're kind of back here looking at the different views of Katie and the Ossenbrink. This is Stephanie Ossenbrink. A little bit. It's been a long day, right? In terms of the casts that started almost 20 hours ago. We do this around the globe, and very exciting stuff. But we'll get back to that replay in just a bit.
Okay, here it comes right now. This was the big lead-in. Now, as we saw it, Rhonda Stickle in that spot. She had the polka dot jersey showing that she's super strong at climbing, but who would be the big sprinter? Allison Kubota has certainly had something to say about that. Dr. Kubota, as she's known, she has a PhD, timed this to perfection. The experiment that she'd been running on Rhonda Stickle came to fruition and got published right here. As Rhonda tried to get off the front, put in a little bit of power, Allison knew 200 meters is what she had. She went by the 200-meter sign. She decided to dig. Rhonda just a little bit late to respond. If she'd responded quicker, she might have caught the wheel. But that gap proved to be too much. Even though Rhonda put out more power at the end, Allison had exactly what she needed, a 1-second gap on her counterpart. 1 second over the course of 40 kilometers, 20-something miles. That is some powerful stuff. Okay, descending, coming down the hill. This is Katie Pothier. Just a little bit of an update on her day and her season. She's doing a great job and is in a great spot in second position overall in the women's field today. Actually, bumping herself into third position in this women's B field. The second place holder right now, who started the day in first, did not start. There's a little bit of a question about who that might be, but we'll dig that up in just a little bit in the overall standings. But Katie doing a nice job. This is this is Stephanie Ossenbrink and her view from what's going on in her pain cave. All of these riders who are high in these point standings and some other ones do stream both the view from their position and their pain cave, so we can see them race as well as their avatar. We put those together for you here on one of 8 broadcasts that come every Tuesday as we work through the CVR World Cup League season. This is week 4. Next week, we'll be on the other side. We'll be crawling closer and closer to the big finish, which is that championship. And those riders will get to go to Vancouver, where there'll be lots of prize money to win and a great trip to have. Okay, so as we peek at what's happening here on the course, it's Ossenbrink and Rogers with a big sprint coming. Benavente and Hewitt got off the front. Those Canadian, not teammates, but countrymen, they find themselves there. But Anna Rogers from Team Fearless really wants to take this away from Ossenbrink. Now, they're not racing in the same division, the same bracket. They qualified for different ones. That would be Stephanie Ossenbrink in the women's A, and of course Anna Rogers in the women's B. But that can happen in a race like this, can't it?
Yeah, we're looking here at Katie. I just wanted to point something out. We're going to set up for the sprint, so we're going to switch back to 3. But Katie has been coming back. She's only about a minute back, and she's looking awesome. She won't be able. There's not enough road left to catch Ossenbrink and Rogers as we watch them here set up for the sprint finish. That was an amazing ride. She wasn't far back, and I expect that she'll be moving up from her current bracket up into the A's here shortly. So maybe another season or 2, and that'll be great. I'm gonna go ahead and let you make the call here.
Okay, so 2 riders, the end of 41.5 kilometers of racing. It comes down to about 300 meters. And who can do this is the one who's going to take these points away from the other. Stephanie Ossenbrink is the one sitting on the front. Anna Rogers from Team Fearless is on the back here. They are posturing to see who is going to go first. The advantage on this slightly downhill finish, and we can see it right there, goes to the one who's in that second position. But Austin Brink jumps first. Is this going to be enough? Can she close it down? Anna Rogers can't quite get around her, misses the opportunity. Austin Brink waited, and said, you know what? I've got to go now. This is her perspective. Exactly what we saw from Austin Brink for this finish. She gets out of the saddle, really ramps that up, puts a lot of power in. The game responds, takes those watts that she drills down, creates that extra effort, and the gap forms. Anna Rogers responds with a effort of her own, but it is too late. The high end power, 500, 600 watts by Anna, is not going to be enough to catch the 650 watts by Stephanie Austin Brink, finishing in 7th position overall in this women's field. Katrina ahead of her to round out those points. Finishing right here, we have the much applause of the assembled crowd there on the other side of the fence. We'll see a few more as we come closer to the finish. Katie Pothier, who joined us in Los Angeles, great athlete, great rider, great competitor, is going to finish this in a great spot. Really, she just set her pace with less than a half mile to go. She put herself in a great position to win this. Okay. So as we shift gears, we get ready to go to next week. Thank you, those of you who are watching. We're going to end here shortly, but make sure, please, click a follow, and we'll let you know when these men are racing again. If you follow, you get notified, and that's what we want. That is exactly how you follow these racers. Each week, Frank, adding more cameras on more riders, able to tell more stories of great athletes from all over, men and women, in these races. I'm excited with all of the improvements in the personal streaming of these riders this week, and I expect only more in the weeks to come.
Yeah, very exciting times as the birth of the new professional sport gets started, and we're all here to watch it. It's fun stuff. I look forward to every Tuesday. This isn't work. I am absolutely thrilled to be able to do this each week. Fun stuff.
Great job, Katie. Great job, everybody. Thank you very much. You can check more out at cvrworldcup.com. Of course, you can check out any of the riders you want to watch in their personal camera views at cycleview.cvrworldcup.com. And thank you for the thousands of people who tuned in and watched this today, and give a follow. We're so glad that you were here, and we'll talk to you very, very soon. Now, if you want to tune in on this, or you want to see any of these races, you can always check out the Facebook page, or of course, anytime here on Mixer as well. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. On behalf of Frank Garcia, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain, and myself, Dr. Chris Haskell, an actual professor of video games. We'll talk about that next week. Thank you for joining us for CVR World Cup League this week 4, and we'll see you next time. I believe